like I feel like everyone thinks whenever you book a TV show that then you're like set and that you're gonna just go on to like be a star.
Be rich and set for the rest of your life.
Yeah, which
also.
is just not reality. Is it recording?
Yeah.
Oh, were we recording that whole conversation?
No.
Just spilled a lot of tea. Felt like we were able to just like connect on like a different level.
Yeah.
And
you kept the relationship secret for a while, right? At least publicly.
Yeah. I feel like people thought we were like best friends for a while.
You're like kissing on the mouth. They're like, they're so close. Well, hello, Joe.
Well, hello there.
It's so lovely to have you on the pod.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
For everyone at home, we're here with Joe Serafini of Disney fame.
Disney fame.
Child theater fame.
Oh, yeah.
Child theater fame.
We'll
I
get
don't know
to
about
it.
this.
Okay.
Of new musical artist.
Yes.
So
Of new musical artist fame.
yeah, of fame. You know, all sorts of different things. Michigan legend, Joe Serafini. Pittsburgh legend,
Go
Joe
Blue.
Serafini.
Oh, and go Steelers.
How are you doing?
I'm great. It's a what day is it? It's a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a beautiful Wednesday in New York.
It's a little cloudy.
It's a little cloudy.
But it's finally getting nice out, which I've been telling
I'm starting to
people.
act different.
Your first
Yes.
I'm starting to act
I
different.
feel like I'm blooming. Like I'm like,
yes.
oh,
It is
Your
beautiful.
first spring in New York.
I guess you could say that. I mean, I visited a bunch.
But your first spring actually living here.
Yeah.
How long have you actually been in the city now?
We moved in October.
Okay.
So
you got right into the winter and the shittiest time to be here, essentially.
Yeah.
And
But the October, November wasn't so bad. But pretty much as soon as it got dark early and the weather was getting rough, it was
They're getting dark early as hell on Earth.
it literally I thought I'd be used to it from growing up in the East Coast, but
Had a few too many winters in LA.
Yeah, that's right. After living in LA, like it's hard. It wears you down.
So-
and you're also not so busy to like be distracted from the weather.
Right.
You're like,
New York, when you're not busy, can be a scary, scary spot to be in.
Yeah.
So you were in LA for how long?
I moved there officially in 2021.
Okay.
So
and you graduated college
couple
in
years. 2020.
2020. Ooh.
But I left college after 2019
To go do the
do
show.
the show.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh,
I know this is
yeah.
probably an annoying question that
No,
you get
no,
all
no.
the time.
I'll
but
tell you about it.
Yeah.
So
how did that come to be?
I got High School Musical during my junior year in 2018.
Okay.
And then I remained a full-time student. My teachers were very kind to like work with me. And then we were done shooting that summer. So then I went back for senior year. I did the senior entrance.
Slay.
And I crammed in all my credits into that first semester of senior year. And basically just graduated a little early or fulfilled the requirements early. So that then in 2020, when we went to film season 2, I'd be able to go and like not worry about school.
Were you still technically a part-time student while you were filming season 2?
No, I mean, yes, because Professor Wagner, I had like one last class that he was like, no, you have to do this. So, but
I'm obsessed with that. You're like fully on a Disney show and he's like, no.
Not if you want a diploma.
but he was very kind to work with me. I just had to write like a trillion essays on like a book.
But first season you were like truly still
I was going
in
back and
classes.
forth. Yes. That
Well-
was crazy.
What was that like? So let's start from the beginning. You're in school, you're doing junior year of college, which is like people talk about the jaded junior. It's when the grind gets tough in school.
Oh my God, that's so the opposite for us. We have Fridays off junior year.
Oh, see, at our program, I feel like by junior year, people start checking out.
Well, we definitely started checking out, but it's because they kind of gave us a long leash junior year. They were kind of like freshman and sophomore year is the grind, where you're like getting in a lot of shitty credits, doing a lot of like stupid shit that whatever.
See, that's true for us too, but I think the reason people get jaded junior year is some people start getting rewarded for that grind or feel like they're getting rewarded.
Well, you guys
and
also
some
can't
people
perform freshman year, right?
No.
Okay, we
kind of.
can.
Kind of, yeah. They've bent roles, I feel like.
Yeah, but okay, so we're into junior year. We're feeling any sort of way about it. And how does the High School Musical thing happen?
It started in the fall. I actually got a DM on Instagram from casting.
Whoa.
So I had known the showrunner, Tim Federle. I had met him in Pittsburgh. He's also from Pittsburgh.
You guys did like Les Mis or something together, right?
No. So we had never done a show together. He had actually done a show with my older siblings in 2004. 2005.
Okay.
Whoa.
So I would have been 7. No, 2004 actually. So I would have been 6.
Damn.
And it was The Music Man. He was Tommy Gillis. And I like literally remember seeing it and being like, gobsmacked. I was still such a baby. And then years pass, and then do you guys know like the High School Musical Theater Awards in all the cities?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
of
lead
course.
into the,
That lead
to
into the
Jimmys,
Jimmys.
of course.
So in Pittsburgh, there's the Gene Kelly Awards. My high school never participated, but I would perform as part of this performance troupe
Okay.
in high school called the Mini Stars. And they were
The mini stars.
the Mini Stars.
Again,
the,
Pittsburgh legend, Joe Serafini.
I'm obsessed.
the CLO Mini Stars. And they were affiliated with CLO, obviously. So we would open the ceremony, like kick off the night.
Love it.
To be
You're
like
we're not participating, but we will perform for you.
That's correct.
That's iconic.
So that was fun. But after that opening number, Tim was being honored with some distinguished alumni award that night. I was in high school. And at intermission, I was introduced to him. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, like you totally stood out to me in that opening number. Like, great job." And I was like, "Oh,
Do you remember the opening number?
thanks." Like I didn't even have a solo number. I was just.
Do you remember what the number was, though? What the opening number was?
I think it was probably something like, "It's not where you start, it's where you finish."
It's like,
Classic.
I love it.
But yeah, so after that meeting, we like stayed in touch on social media, and he just kind of was like cheering me on from afar.
Love it.
In a very supportive and kind way. And I guess he just remembered me and thought of me for the show. So he told casting to find me. And
And he was a showrunner on High School
yes,
Musical?
or head writer at that point. I don't think he was even show running yet.
Okay.
And then I didn't even hear anything. Like it was originally for a different role. And then months went by. It was February then, and then a tape came in for Seb. And then that happened so fast. Like I sent in a tape, had a couple retapes, and then was in Salt Lake City a week later for
Wow.
my first day.
Wow.
And so what is that like navigating with the school? Because you're in the middle of classes, at least from my experience, junior year in that program, it was like you're booked from 9 a.m. to
I don't know if
7 or
people
11
know.
p.m.
I don't know if people know. So you guys went to school together.
We did, yes.
Yeah. So Peter graduated same year as me in
Yeah,
2018.
2018.
They went to Michigan. Go Blue.
And so Joe was 2 years behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually didn't meet Peter till he was back from London.
Oh yeah, I was abroad. Your first semester at school.
My first semester at school.
Slay British
There.
Pete.
Yes.
You know.
But when he came, when he was introduced, we were immediate friends. I feel like I was at your house a lot.
Yeah, Joe was dating someone who lived in my house for a little while, and so we got to know each other
amazing.
really well very quickly.
Drama. I love that.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
Good times.
so yeah, so you were doing classes kind of still when you shot season 1?
Yes.
You're like part-time student kind of.
I was still full time.
Oh,
but
full-time, okay.
I was finessing that.
Well, and I also feel like
It's crazy
even
because you'd
ov-
think they'd be so cool about it.
Well,
They're
it's
like
funny
doing the
too
thing that
because
you're
over
supposed
the
to be
course
doing.
of even my 4 years there, because we had a change in the head of the program,
Right, so
they
did
had
we.
very different philosophies as to like what was allowed.
was
Because
okay.
even
Yeah.
I got offered a random SAG job that I would have missed not even any days of school, like 2 days of the auditions before school started.
Oh, this
and
was
I emailed,
us too.
And I emailed the head of the program and was like,
Yeah.
hey, can I come in 3 days later? This job's it's gonna be on like Amazon Prime at the time, which wasn't really established. It was like 2019, 2018.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
I will
still a
miss
big job.
2 days. I'm going to get this big credit. Like my agents in LA at the time were really excited about it. And the head of our program CC'd the entire faculty back
No.
and emailed me and said, you could either take the semester off or
This
you
is-
will be telling all of us that you
This is Wagner at the
value
time, correct?
yourself
Yeah.
more than your studies here.
Sorry, I just
And I
name
was
dropped,
like,
but
I sent it to my agent and she was like, it's not worth burning those bridges. Just go back to school.
That's so
It's cool.
real.
And so it was a bummer, but it was also though, because the year before I had almost gotten a job where I was going to take the year off. And that was like a much bigger money job, whatever. And
Right.
he had been pretty understanding about that. And he was like, we can't just be consistently trying to make exceptions
this
for
is
what
so
you're doing.
interesting to me because similarly, I mean, we went through a change of program head after I left, but when I was there, and now it's like a completely different thing. I don't know anything about it, obviously, but
Honestly,
like,
same with us.
yeah, it sort of feels to me like a little bit like we've gone through a few different people, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
since I've left.
Well,
but
it's tough, I think, for both programs. If you have like one person holding it down for 30 plus years,
yeah, so long,
the adjustment period after that is tough.
It's going to be a nightmare no matter what. But I think ours was similar where it was like we couldn't even take summer stock auditions that we didn't get approved.
See, in the summers, you were fair game for us.
No, it was like all the time when you were there,
If it
you had to
conflicted
get
with school,
everything approved.
it was going to be a problem. And the new program head was much more,
He like wanted us
well, you're
to be
studying
working.
to do this thing, like go do it.
Go do it. Well,
And
that's
so-
what always was confusing to me where I was like, okay, like,
Well, what I appreciate about our first program head, who's about to officially retire again,
Yeah.
he was very much like school should be sacred, be here for school.
I think that's cool.
That will
I
still,
get that.
all of the industry will still be waiting for you a
Right.
couple years from now.
Right.
Take the time to develop and be ready for that. But
Yes.
different philosophies.
I agree with that, but also times have changed. I feel like
Yes.
they are casting younger and
Well,
younger.
Absolutely.
That's always kind of how I felt where I was like, I feel like I'm not wasting because I got a lot obviously from school, but I felt like I was, you know, being sequestered at like a really, really, really good time of my life to be working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm grateful for the time that I spent there, obviously. Like no
Of
part of me
course.
would have taken it back, but it's like, you know, there were things that I passed on that I wished that I wouldn't have.
No, I feel the same.
You know what I mean?
But
Where
it
I'm like,
is what it is.
that could have been really great for me or whatever, you
Yeah.
know? But it's cool. So had the new it's Vince, right?
Yeah, at the time at least, took over. And
Taken over when you were a junior?
My freshman year, actually.
Oh, no way. Okay, cool. So,
yeah, so it was after my sophomore year that the switchover happened.
okay. So he was a little bit more willing to kind of work with you.
Yeah.
On that. That's great.
I remember like even like just during the auditions, I was like, what do I do? And blah, blah, blah. And he was always just like, just keep doing it.
Right,
and
the
you
way
gotta
of-
go.
yeah.
And then when I got it, he was like, all right, bye.
Did it affect?
That's amazing.
Did it affect? I mean, even just thinking back to theater school, so much of your grades are showing up and participation. Essentially,
Right.
Yes.
were your teachers cool about that, or do you have a semester that's just like, that was when I was on TV?
No, everyone was actually cool about it somehow.
That's great.
At least in my memory. I think
You're like, I
everyone
may have
just.
rewritten this in my head a little bit, but
Yeah, I think everyone.
Also,
just
once you've gotten a job like
understood-
that and you're into the world, like the GPA of it all doesn't really matter.
no.
but
Because you're doing the thing that you were wanting to do after school before you graduated. It's
yeah,
amazing. It's like what everyone
I
wants.
remember like in acting class with Vince as the teacher, like I just had to come back and like tell people what I learned on set that
Nice.
week.
Oh, you probably felt like such a celebrity for the week. You were like, here I am.
Sure, yeah. No.
I bet your classmates loved that.
No, I mean it is interesting because you do learn so much
Yeah.
as like a first timer on like a big budget set like that. That
Yeah,
I
was that
did
your
have
first time
stuff
on a
to
big set like
share.
that?
Okay, so let's get
Yeah.
into that though. So you're going back to school. You within a week are in Salt Lake City filming. You're on the school that the original High
Yeah.
School Musical was filmed. Like, what is that? What is that like? What do you feel like your initial takeaways were? How difficult was it to just jump into that?
I was just so I can't even remember how I was feeling. I was just so excited to be there. And obviously I'd grown up with the movies and been such a fan that I just kind of was in disbelief most of the time.
Yeah.
But everyone in the cast was so young, and like I was one of the older of the kids on the cast, and my first few episodes I didn't have many lines, so I really was just watching and learning what they were
You
doing.
got to ease in a little bit before you had your.
Yeah. And I think that was perfect for me because I think if I had a bunch of lines on my first day, I would have been a mess. But I literally, my first day, I was just sitting in the cafeteria and my direction was to like pretend like I was gossiping about what was happening at another table. And that was great because I literally was just told to
You're like,
watch.
here's my
what they
simple
were doing.
task,
Yeah.
That's
essentially.
amazing. Yeah. You got to just like ease into it and not feel like you were just like thrown into like a line's done.
Do you remember any of those moments that did feel like they were like overwhelming in that first, especially in that first season?
Yes, the first time I had like a real scene with someone, I had some props to work with, like a book bag and a water bottle. And the script supervisor came in after the first take and was like, "Do you remember whenever you like sipped from your water bottle after what
shit.
line?"
Continuity-wise?
Continuity stuff.
Yes, and I was like, "No, I was just living." And she was like, "Okay, so you need to pay attention to that." Like she was taking it as a
Yeah.
Like
a
a
learning
learning moment,
opportunity.
yeah.
And she was like very direct about it, but I was like, "Oh my god, like I have to know. I have to be thinking about all these things. I can't just be thinking about what my character's thinking about. Like I also have to pay attention to when I'm picking up my water bottle, what shoulder I'm throwing my bag over. Like that was a learning curve for me, which is so silly, but
No, it's not, because it's like not something you would learn in your program, like in your theater program.
Not something
no
you
one's
learn outside of practical experience doing the thing, especially because in theater, you might have set beats to do. Oh, you pick up the bag here, you do those things,
but you have
but
to do
it's
it
much
exactly
more
the same every
grand and you're
time.
rehearsing it for a month before you're doing it.
Yeah.
Versus like film,
show
even
up.
if you get rehearsal, is like a novelty in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
Were you guys getting a lot of rehearsal?
When it would come to like musical numbers, they
Yeah.
would make sure we were like really
Really
tight.
rehearsed.
But we would always do a rehearsal of scenes, but it's not much. Like it was very
you're
like,
reading the lines
You
once,
run
or-
through it. They tell you where you're going to be standing, where you're going to move, and then you do that. Also, like marks, like knowing where you're standing.
Yeah, did you enjoy
different
that,
too.
or like, did you feel like you like missed? For me, like the very little film that I've done, I found it very difficult, because I'm like, once you get a good take, they'll take it. You know what I mean? And even if you feel like you're like, fuck, like I didn't
and
really
even
like that. All right,
from the director side, if you're like, we have 3 hours of shooting we have to do.
we have to get this so
and
quick.
We got something that works. Like we're good. We're
But
shooting.
I
We're
always
moving
kind of
on.
have this feeling of like, damn it, like if we could have done it like 4 more times, I feel like I would have slayed.
It
but
was very rare that I left work feeling like, oh yeah, I slayed today. Like I always left being like, could I have done more? Could I have done a
Yeah.
better job? Like, and because you're not watching it back, like you really just have to trust that like
the editor's gonna.
they wouldn't
Do
do
it.
They
you
liked
dirty.
it.
Yeah.
If they didn't like it, you wouldn't have moved on.
Right. So it's a lot of
That's
just
hard, though.
being like, okay, I'm just trusting and moving on. Also, like, I love the show. I think it's wonderful. But
I'm a huge fan of the show, by the way.
Thank you.
Love the show.
But like, I appreciate that at least stuff that I participated in didn't feel that deep. Like I didn't
Yeah,
feel
you
like
weren't like sitting on the floor sobbing. You know.
No, but it's funny because I'm a crazy person in that we would be watching like really dramatic shows at home, and I'd be watching their acting and being like, do I need to be doing more? And then I was like looking at what the scenes that I was doing versus
You're
what
like-
they're
you're
doing.
like,
I'm like,
no, I don't
what
want to
am I
do
thinking?
it.
Like, please.
Yeah.
You're like, I can just say it and it'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll just
It's
do it.
okay.
Yeah.
You'll know whenever you need to do all that work. But
You'll know when you need to do all that.
What was the experience like seeing yourself on TV for the first time?
Was it so weird?
very weird. So exciting, obviously. At least
Yeah.
that first season was just like,
Did you watch them as they came out?
yeah, I was all about it. I'm
See,
such a
I-
fan of the show.
I loved
even
it. I
in
thought it
shows
was-
I'm a fan of,
I
like
was
the
this
different
is-
things I've been in, I cannot like. I'll let other people watch them, and like I'm sure I will. Even just for like collecting the footage afterwards, I will see it at some point. But like in the moment,
hard.
I can't.
No,
It's
I don't know
hard.
what it
I'm
is.
very hard on myself watching back to a point where I'm like, I can't think about it too much.
Yeah.
Because I will just overanalyze and think of how much better I could have done certain things. But I mean, yeah, you just have to like move on. That's the thing. And also I think seeing myself from different angles that I'm
Yeah.
not used to seeing myself from.
yeah, that's probably crazy.
So it takes a hit to my ego a little bit.
That's so funny. I mean, it feels so simple, but you're like, no, that's real. You're like, I've never looked at myself from that angle, and I don't particularly want to.
no.
You're like, I actually felt good about that costume until I saw this shot.
Yeah. It's so funny.
But overall, I enjoy watching the show, but I can't get too much into like
Yeah,
my
you can't like
performance of
really.
it.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about like having a smaller role is I can just enjoy like everyone else.
Did
That's
you?
what I love the show for.
Did you? What was contending with like other people responding to your role in the thing?
Oh, I was lucky that I feel like what I saw and what I was told is that I was a pretty beloved character.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was great.
Mm-hmm.
So I only was seeing positive things, and that
Yeah.
was great for me.
That's amazing. Yeah,
That's amazing. That is, not true for everyone.
yeah.
No.
That's a huge win.
Yeah, it's a huge win.
But
What was the prep like? Because I remember you telling me about some of the like. I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but it was like Jason Earls came in and coached you guys about
yeah.
your media
He
training
was-
and stuff.
he was our
Oh, shit.
dialogue coach.
Okay.
So he was on set with us every day, making sure everyone knew their lines, make sure if you had any questions about like how to play it, like he was there
But
to prepare.
was he
us.
not also the person that was I remember you talking to me about basically being on a Disney show. They warned you about
the Disney of it all.
What your appearance on the internet had to be, or the footprint that existed in terms of, was that through him or was that through something else?
I mean, he would share his experience of that, but that wasn't like his job.
Did they give you like a seminar about that, or?
Yeah, we had many, like there was at the beginning of season 2, like after the show had been a successful first season, and like they were kind of like, okay, now people know who you are, like you need to be careful. We had we would sit in a conference room and have like literal like security PowerPoints about, you know, don't post about where you are until after you leave, stuff like that.
Did they do that before the first season either, or
they had told us, and some of the people had been on shows before, so they kind of had
already
also had that knowledge to share. But it wasn't that, like, I never felt like it was that serious. I guess in Salt Lake City, people felt a little more like on guard because everyone knew we were there.
You were shooting there, yeah.
So that was like interesting. But
you guys you must have shot in the summer then, right?
Ooh, some depends.
Yeah,
it depends. Season 1, we like started it during the school year and then finished in the summer. Like when we were filming all those big musical numbers in the gym, that was in the summer.
Is that an active school?
It is.
So what is that like being? Would you just occupy certain parts of the school and they're in session in other parts of the school?
I think we would only shoot there on weekends. We would only shoot on days that they weren't there.
Mm-hmm. That's so crazy.
I can't even imagine being like
a person at that school,
14, going to homeroom and being like, "Oh, that's Olivia Rodrigo."
Yeah, it's so like, crazy.
What is happening?
Yeah, it's so wacky.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like what. Just how much of your life, I imagine everything, but like how much of your life really changed after the first season kind of hit and everyone was like, whoa, this new thing.
Yeah. I mean, definitely like getting recognized on the street or like at theaters, especially is always interesting.
I imagine.
But very nice. Like I'm always flattered by it, as long as they're like not weird about it.
Yeah.
And that's like really the only thing that changed, I guess, in terms of like I feel like everyone thinks whenever you book a TV show that then you're like set and that you're gonna just go on to like be a star.
Yeah, well, be rich and set for the rest of your life.
Yeah, which
also
is just not reality. So like it hasn't changed that much in terms of like, I mean, it's obviously given me such a it's giving me great footage. It's giving me great like opportunities, I would say.
Right.
And also like with the audience that I've built with the show, I've been able to like sort of venture out and do my own projects, like making music and be able to like share that with my fan base.
So I do want to get into music, but I want to hit one other thing first on a level of, so what is it like being in a show where obviously you met your current partner doing the show, but also because of the relationship of your characters on camera, there's like a fandom that exists about people shipping characters.
Yeah.
And then
in real life
having a relationship in real life. Like
that must be so weird.
And yeah, I just want to know what that's like on a level of.
Yeah. And how did it start? Like, how did you guys like realize that you were in love?
Well, I'm blushing. It was in season 1. We just were hitting it off. And I think we were both the oldest of the kids. And so we kind of felt like, oh, all these teenagers, not in like a weird derogatory way.
I mean, I know what you mean,
but just like,
I get it.
Oh, like they're.
Well, how many of the cast had actually been like away from home, essentially?
Only like a couple of us. Like I think it was 3 of us.
I did like a theater thing like 2 years ago where I was the oldest by like 5 or 6 years. And even though there was a guy who I knew from college too, who was like about my age. But I remember feeling, even though these kids were like 23, 24, 22, I was like, you know what I mean? Like I love them all absolutely with my whole heart. But it was just like, there was a very clear sort of separation there.
Okay, so you already had that connection, or at least that common ground. But
yes. And then, I mean, really, we just were, he would make me laugh. And I liked that he was
crying.
like, he was very, I don't know, he was so like chill, but
There was probably a wild fucking energy on that set. I can't even imagine because everyone's so young and everyone's like,
yes.
which I imagine you two probably were able to just be like, okay, let's like take a breath.
Yeah,
I get that.
I felt
totally
like
get
we
that.
were able to just like connect on like a different level.
Yeah.
And
And you kept the relationship secret for a while, right? At least
yeah,
publicly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like people thought we were like best friends for a while.
You're like kissing on the mouth. They're like, they're so close.
But no, we didn't want to, you know, when you're in a new relationship, I feel like even in normal life, like you don't want to like really share it with the world yet because
Not me.
you don't know how
You don't know
things
where that's going. Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, as soon as I'm talking to someone, I'm like, that's my boyfriend. They're like, what? I don't think so.
Hey, to each their own.
To each their own. No, your way is much better. I assure you.
But no, I mean, we just we're bonding so well, and I don't know, we just matched, and then
How long have you guys been together now?
We are coming up on 5 years.
Oh my God.
officially.
That's crazy. Same with us. When?
Wow.
Like,
It was so we had been sort of talking, whatever. And then officially like in June.
okay.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah.
Aw.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. And you guys live together here now, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's 5 years, the longest relationship you've ever been in.
Yeah.
What is that like?
a long
Just on
time.
a separating from the fame, work, whatever side of it. What is it like navigating
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
I think the pandemic definitely like made us look at what we had and like decide like, all right, are we like in this together or
Yeah.
are
Do we need some
we,
time
you
or
know?
whatever? Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And that's when we really started living together. Obviously, you were like, you can't see anyone else. So
Was that in LA?
So we went to LA first, and then we were like, we have more space in our apartments that we already are paying for in Salt Lake. So let's go back. And we spent a lot of the pandemic.
Wait,
in
what
Salt Lake
was the
City.
pandemic like in Salt Lake City? I have to know. Just on the level of, I was here most of the time, and I even remember at a certain point I went out to Ann Arbor to visit a couple of our friends who were still out there for the summer. And even from New York to Michigan, because like I feel like everything was hyper energy here in terms of the pandemic, just because of the volume of density of people, everything.
Yeah.
And even just going to Michigan, where I was like, oh, people are living so much more freely. Like, what was that experience like going from LA to then being in Salt Lake in
City.
terms of how people actually
You can't get
dealt with it?
alcohol on Sundays there. Just saying. That would be a huge problem.
We honestly didn't see that many people because we didn't have that many friends there. Julia Lester spent
Tony nominated Julia
Tony
Lester.
nominated Julia Lester was there with us. So that we all spent a lot of time together.
That's
us three.
nice.
And Kate Reinders, who was living there as well. But she's a mom. Like we weren't geeking with
has a
her as
different kind
much.
of life. Yeah.
But we would hang out. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like living freely, I just loved being in Salt Lake because there was so much nature to explore.
Yeah, I was
Like-
going
like,
to say that probably made a huge
beautiful.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the spring, too. It's probably so beautiful.
yeah, I honestly loved.
I
it.
love Salt Lake.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
A great place.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Do you see yourself ever being back there for longer than like 3 days at a time now that you don't work there?
Maybe to do like a fun like trip, but
Just a fun little trip.
I would love to go skiing. We never were allowed to go skiing. They didn't want us
Oh,
getting
because you're going to hurt yourself so bad.
So I would love to go back.
What is that like? That's such a left turn. But in terms of, do you have like injury clauses in your contract or things like that?
I don't know. I don't read.
I don't read that.
I don't read
I don't
deeply.
read that.
Do they? But for the
but they
skiing
would
type of thing,
advise
were they
us.
just like, please don't ski? Was that like a specific conversation?
That makes
or-
sense. You
I
can really hurt
feel
yourself.
I feel like it was a conversation.
It was just something people kind of understood. on
Yeah.
that
I
level.
want to ask, so when you decided to leave or when you left the show, what was that? Is Frankie still on the show, by the way?
It's done.
It's done. But was he on it for longer than
He
you were?
was on it all 4 years.
Okay.
Regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happened when you sort of decided to like step? Do you want to talk about this?
Really good question. We can talk about it. I think it's an interesting topic, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
As long as you feel comfy.
yeah.
Please share.
We can talk about it in like the most surface level way.
Love it.
Okay, however you want to talk about it, we'll talk about that because
I won't
I kind of know what
press.
happened, but
Yeah.
I don't,
So I don't know how much I want to say about it, but I guess I'll just say I was notified that I would not be returning as a regular, but that it didn't mean anything about like I didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't personal. It was just a shakeup because things were shifting as we enter a season 3. They're like I wasn't the only one this was happening to.
Right.
And of course it was. I mean, to be perfectly candid, like I was pretty devastated.
yeah, I remember because I think I saw you pretty soon after that happened, and you were still having a pretty tough time with just processing that.
I can't even imagine what that must feel. I mean, that feels horrible, regardless of if it's personal or not.
Yeah.
Or if it has to do with a million other things. And you understand that there's like a puzzle going on or whatever. But it still feels like you're a casualty of that. And that must feel horrible.
Yeah. And how do you not take it personally? It is you. But like that was just, you just have to know, you just have to trust that it's not personal and it's something, it's budgets, it's puzzles, it's all the things.
A million other things. But still, I mean, that doesn't affect like, you can intellectualize that all you want, but the emotional side of it is like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I had felt like I had built
You built this character.
Well, I built this character from the first day of not the very first day of season 1, but like from the first episode.
From your first day, yeah.
Yeah. And to just know that he wasn't gonna like be there as much, I was like, oh, wow, hurt.
Yeah,
ouch.
of course.
And also built this family. Oh my God, I hate when people are like, oh my God, this is my family. I say it all the time.
No, but I
But
get
you
it.
get
and also
it.
through the pandemic too.
Well, and you're quite literally dating someone in the cast
That
who is
too.
still a part of the main
still
company, right?
fully a part of it. So I was still very close to it all.
That, yeah.
So
that
he
hurts
would
my
be
heart.
going
That
to
would be hard.
work and I would be at home.
Oh, Joe, that is really hard. You're like, that must have been really fucking hard.
Yeah. And it's like silly because you're like, oh my gosh, it's just a job. But like,
But it was your life.
It was my
also
life.
Your life right out of college.
yeah.
And right out of the pandemic being
And
the
right out
main
of the
thing
pandemic.
to still be normal in your life.
It's not like a regular situation, really, where you're like, you're not working on the same job that you've been working, whatever it
Well,
is.
and you
But
were
like
still-
put all of this together, that makes it so much more difficult. And
Yeah.
you're a kid still, essentially. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you were still a part of the show a bit in that third season, right?
I came in for an episode.
Okay.
Sled. You were like, I'll do one.
Oh, that's all I was offered.
I'm dead. But that I imagine that was really, really difficult.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that happens more than we know. Like
Oh,
something
yeah.
that my agents said when they called to talk to me about it, they were like, this happens more often than you think. It really isn't personal. Like it just is how things go.
Well, for a lot of
sometimes.
those shows too, they have like a specific number of contract slots for those roles or whatever, and it scales up based on the scale of the production even, and it's like, okay, we have this amount of contracts available.
What's also so crazy is you became a reg the second season, correct?
Yeah.
So it's like second season, then you get shut down, everything changes. Like that sucks. I mean, that's just like you're just like a victim of the circumstance,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And also they only did 4 seasons, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, and so on a
Fourth season, I wasn't brought back as a regular, but I was there pretty much the whole time, and I was in more than half of the episodes. So that was like a nice way to get some closure on the character and on the experience, to feel like I got to end it with everyone. But with that third season, they didn't know about a fourth season, so that really felt like I was like, oh my gosh, am I just gonna
am I just
is
gonna
that
disappear?
it?
Like, is
Yeah.
he just done? Yeah.
But something I always found comfort in, I was like, well, it's not like those first 2 seasons don't exist. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was there, I was there. I can
and there's a lot of good
Love
in
that.
what that was too.
yes.
Yeah. What was it like? Like that character is so interesting to me because like I feel like when I heard about you doing the show, it was like Boy Sharpay. That's like what everyone was saying. Everyone was
Yes.
like, "Oh my god!" And also, it's a Disney show,
Uh-huh.
so having like an openly gay character on a Disney show, what was that like? Was that like, is that the first? Probably not the first time they've done that, but probably one of the first times that they've had
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. I
Yeah.
mean, we were the first openly gay
couple.
couple.
That's crazy.
And I guess first kiss, I think.
Yeah, probably. That's wacky.
It is
Actual
wacky.
television history.
Yeah, of Disney.
Yeah. So wait, we have to revise. It's Pittsburgh legend, Michigan legend, Disney legend, Joe Serafini. just to be clear.
That's really crazy though. I mean, did they kind of prep you at all for like? Did you guys get any backlash on that? Like, were people mad?
I remember one time Disney Plus posted a Pride thing or like something just literally about love. And Frankie and
they're like, we're not even going as far as to say Pride.
But it was like a series of images of like all these couples.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one of me and Frankie, or I don't know, maybe it was just us. I don't remember. But I remember seeing a lot of hateful comments. And what upset me was I was like, I didn't like thinking about the youth.
Yeah.
I didn't like thinking about our audience or young LGBTQ plus people
seeing that
and feeling like, oh, it's still not safe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And truth be told, it's not.
Yeah.
But that was like, I remember being really hurt by that. But then I was like, I mean, it's not my like
it's not your responsibility.
No, I kind of have to just do my job and hope that we can portray it the most natural, beautiful and genuine way
joyful
possible.
way.
Well, and
Instead
that
of
in
focusing on
itself
the shit.
is a very, I mean, even seeing the backlash created from it, like that in itself can be your role in the whole thing of existing in a really beautiful, like healthy on-screen way that can just serve as a, even if the hatred still exists and there's going to be the backlash to it, so many kids get to see it for the first time on screen in like a major Disney kind of context.
And also in such
totally normalized.
From what I remember, in such a joyful way that didn't feel very like shrouded in struggle and all of this. You know
that
what
was
I mean?
kind of the point. Like,
where it doesn't have to be this big fucking struggle. It's just these two boys who love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had an LA Times article in season 1 that I have framed in our apartment. My brother framed it for me. I'm not that egotistical. My brother.
But honestly, no. Celebrate your wins. Frame the article.
Peter does this for me all the time. He's like, no, talk about it, bitch.
Well, also, to Keith's credit, it'll be like the day after she performs at Madison Square Garden for the first time, and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm so upset about these 3 things." I'm like, "Wait a minute.
Hold on.
We need to take 5 steps back, sit in this for a minute, then we can get upset about the other thing."
Yeah,
yes. But my brother had this framed for me for Christmas that year. And the headline is gay love story, a big deal and not, or something like that.
That's really sweet.
Because it wasn't made to be a big deal, but it's a big deal because it's there.
Disney.
Well, yeah, and because that in even our lives of media, as much as things have changed, is still a scale that is like slowly ticking its way up.
I remember when I was a kid, like when I was 13, 14, I feel like I would get all these pilots to like go in for or whatever. And there was always like, not always, but a lot, I had heard a lot on like Nick and Disney pilots or whatever, when I was like 14 and 15, that like people were going to try to start putting gay characters into kids shows. And none of these pilots got picked up. But I wonder if that was part of it. There were like 2 shows that I'm thinking of that never got picked up that had 2 gay characters. And I was like, it felt so crazy to me at the time because I was like, they haven't done this yet. But that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And still, it's like a big win to have a gay character on a kids TV show.
Yeah.
Or like not even a kids, because I wouldn't call you guys show a kids TV show, but
It's
it was
family.
like
It's family.
Yeah. It's like
It's meant for all
Disney.
ages. It's
Yeah,
not not for kids
Yeah.
in a way that a lot
I
of
watched
shows.
it religiously as a full adult, and I loved it. So I don't know, like that must have felt crazy, and also not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that weird thing of like, whatever, you can't. And also because you guys are actually together in real life, like that is another crazy layer.
Whole other layer, yeah. But I think a part of me loved that we could kind of go through that together and sort of navigate it together.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was like, I don't know about being like an advocate. Like I don't feel like I have that.
Yeah,
spirit.
I remember we talked about this during the pandemic too.
Yeah, and you were like, it's okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be. Yeah, you can just be yourself.
Yeah, like because that just existing and just doing what we do, I think but doing what we do, that alone is a form of like, I don't know.
It's a form of like, yeah, it's a form of advocacy and it's a form of kind of defiance of it all too. Just
Yeah.
being yourself and like I said, not making it this huge
Well, and big props to
struggle and
Disney
this-
for actually doing that.
it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that is a
literally.
lot of companies see the first leg of backlash on that
And they're like, fuck,
fold.
get me out of here. Yeah.
or just walk it back or anything or wouldn't take the risk in the first place. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
super
boy
cool.
Sharpay of it all was really fun and cool. And a part of me was like, we never even discuss that he's playing Sharpay. Like, it just is there.
Okay, that was what was so funny to me. I remember watching the show and being like, I had expected because all I knew about it was that, and I knew you were gonna be on the show, and I was like, slay. But I was like, when I saw your character, I was like, wait, this boy is gonna play Sharpay.
Well, and they
Where I was
really,
like, I thought they
in
were
the
gonna make you
show,
some big,
only give it like
fucking
one or
bitchy, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you were just like this little like farm kid. I was like, this is amazing.
in the show, they don't even tease it that heavily. They give it a couple lines and then it's happening.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Really
I
cool.
kind of love that.
I loved it too. I was like, this is kind of a surprise, and they're just like, this boy can absolutely sing his face off. Give him Sharpay.
Okay, so I love celebrating in the win of this, but not to pull you back into the trauma of it all.
No.
But
I feel like it's been enough time that now I can just be like, oh yeah, that happened.
but so we're coming into season 3. You find out your role is going to be reduced, and you're contending with that. What is that like on your career trajectory to that point coming out of school is like a cannon.
Yeah,
It is
I was
a
like, oh my gosh, I'm on the
skyrocket
show.
up. It is entirely up. What is it like to hit
that point.
a bump or like that
low
thing? And
point, yeah.
what does that reassessment look like on a level of, obviously there's just the pain of the thing,
Mm-hmm.
but then there is I have to continue living and go on through this and figure out how I want to continue to exist as an actor. Like, and also,
also less
you had
of a
never really
paycheck.
done the,
Mm-hmm.
it's losing the paycheck, but it's also the TV side of it. Like, to that point, you had been principally a theater performer your whole life and had been
Yes.
training to do theater.
Yes.
And High School Musical was obviously the crossover of the musical theater skills came into play in a huge way.
Totally.
But what does that assessment look like coming out of that? Like how did that change what you wanted for yourself, what you thought about what your career might look like?
Yeah. It was also at that time, I think Broadway had just come back. So even at that whole period of time, it wasn't even like that was an option to go like also
Try to
do theater.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think I grieved for some time.
As you should.
And I think I also was, as much as like during the pandemic, I had to figure out like, what am I doing day to day when there's nothing to do?
Mm-hmm.
I think I was also sort of, after I moved to LA, I wasn't really like thinking about like, oh, well, we're going back to the show at a certain point. I was also in that period of like, okay, so this is my life post grad. What is my day to
Yeah,
day?
new city for the first time.
New city for the first time. How am I keeping myself busy? What am I doing? So I definitely had some weird times there. Just very
Existential,
unsure.
yeah.
Very existential, very like, okay. And then once the show was not a part of the equation, I was like, okay, now what? Like, really, now what?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I just kept auditioning. That was the thing. I was like, I'm just going to keep auditioning. I will, keep making music for myself.
So when did the music come into the equation? Because I can remember specifically even in college talking to you about, because you were always a musician and a pianist. And I remember when we did the 24-hour theater thing and you were
my God.
in the thing that we had written. We wrote
You
a
did me dirty.
the way this project works, to defend myself
Do
for a
tell, do
second,
tell.
it's a 24-hour process. So
having a
the
second.
writers show up
please.
at 8 p.m. right until 8 in the morning. The actors show up at 8 in the morning and
Okay, hell.
have to perform it at 8 p.m. the following night. So it's
Hell on
truly 24-hour theater. And we wrote a 20-minute musical in that time. And so Joe,
Do you stay up all night and then stay up for the day?
I went home and took a fat nap and then came back in. And I remember, because we're not supposed to be involved in the second half, and we had someone who was directing it who, like, Joe, I think, called me at like noon and was like, hey, we're struggling over here. Can you come in? And so I came back in at 1 and like
I don't even
helped
remember
restage the day. But all this to say, so we wrote this musical that was basically about a dinner party where the host, the whole bit is the host is going to murder someone at the party. And so it's like a reveal who they're going to murder. Yeah.
Musical.
All that aside, I remember you talking about at that point.
Joe's fucking stirring over here.
Yeah, but all that aside, I remember you saying at the time,
Oh yeah.
oh, I really like love music being a part of my life, but have never been able to lock into a place where I could be writing it for myself at that point. And that was, you were probably 19 at the time, maybe 18 at the time. So when did that shift happen for you where you started writing and actually leaning into the creation side of music?
Well, truth be told, I kind of still feel that way, but I've just sort of forced myself to figure it out.
I think that everybody feels that way who writes music.
Yeah.
I think you never really feel like you've like locked in exactly what you're doing.
See, delusional confidence here. I was like, I was
get
not
it.
even really a musician at the time I started writing music. I was like, I could do this.
Go
Oh
off.
yeah, go off. That is
Stupid,
not
like-
how I feel. I still am like, what?
Well, and the thing is, I've met and know people that it feel and heard people talk about it, that like they feel like it's their way of processing things, and it's like they almost feel called to it in a way. And I have never felt that desire. I actually, and honestly, as I've been making music, I really, as much as I don't want to sound like I like lean on other people, but I really want to collaborate with people.
No,
Like
collaborating I completely am with you on this. And
Yeah.
I don't think everybody feels that way, but I feel like writing, especially music, is so fucking collaborative. And there are people that that's their bag. You know what I mean? And you want to get people who do the thing the best that they do it. Because you're like, why would I sit here and try to force myself to do something when there's someone right over there who does it the best in the industry and they want to help me?
Yes.
Fuck it. Like, you know what I mean?
I think some people too really, there's different sides to it, why they want to be the one-man band to do all the stuff. And that exists in
that's
like
your
all sorts
skill-
of different creative
If
industries.
that's your skill and that's like what your thing is doing it all yourself, like that's amazing. And I love that for people. That is not how I like to
But
write.
collaboration is too its own skill. And like it does,
Yeah.
I think in everything I've ever collaborated with people, it leads to a better product. But some people do work better alone. That's just their kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I get that,
Yeah.
that instinct.
But I just don't think I do.
I'm so with you on that. I do not work better alone.
But I mean, I know people do. And I know, like, I'm pretty sure I was watching this Lizzie McAlpine interview.
Love her.
She's so great. And she was like, oh no, I write full songs and then I bring them in to be like,
See, that's
produced.
so interesting. That's like Danny, who was just on the pod last week, my writing partner and
Yes.
my partner in life and love. She is like that. Like she will sit down in her bedroom, come out with a full product, and then she brings it. Where I'm like, I'm writing snippets of things. I've got like
I got a trillion ideas.
the ramblings of a lunatic on my phone, and I'm like, I want to bring that to someone and have someone help shape it and craft it, and whatever.
Yes, because I just, and I think that's okay. Like I
No,
actually
it's
was
so okay.
I was having this conversation with friends when I was like, this was last year when I finally decided. Okay, so let me get into it.
Get into it.
And in that season 3 time, I think honestly, I was just auditioning and staying. I don't know what I did in that time with my life. I'm pretty sure I was a little depressed.
You're floating.
I was floating, and it sounds so like dramatic, but
No,
I guess I was.
And especially like,
no, that makes. If you weren't
there's
depressed, that would
two
kind of be
sides of
like,
it,
what's
too.
going on with you?
I think there's two sides of it too. There's the existential. I just got out of college. What am I doing?
Yeah.
like
Oh my
that
God.
chapter's over. But then
And then
also
hype
the
it up
almost
by like a million
and then you
times.
add it to the rocket ship that was the job of it all. Almost becomes like a breakup in that you're processing what is my life without this major pillar in it. So that makes total sense. I don't think you
Yeah.
need to feel like it's dramatic or just.
No, it's not. It's
Thank
so
you
not.
guys.
Okay, so
I feel so comfortable. So then when season 4 came around and I was doing it, we were all there. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but like half the cast writes music or like is trying to be pop stars.
I know.
well, I also feel like
I
half
know.
of your class at Michigan wrote music.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's so
I've
many
been
writers in your
surrounded
class.
by writers a lot of my life. And I've always been like, yeah, it's not my thing. Like I just
I so used to feel like this. I know exactly.
yeah.
So
Well,
used to
and
feel
I'm
like
just such a musical theater biddy, like, and I know you are too. like worked professionally as a kid, like, and I think that's also why I love collaboration so much, is because like we're doing this. I don't know when this will come out, but we're making this. I'm really jumping here.
Jump.
I'll just do it.
okay.
I'll just do it, and we can cut it if we want to. We're doing this music video, this dance music video. My friend Trent, he's like this great dancer, choreographer, director, and he came to me after my song came out, That Special, and he was like, I really want to make like a dance video to this. I think we should get like our friends together that are really good dancers, and just like, he said, I want to do it. And I was like, okay, I'll like pay for the spaces and the cinematographer or whatever, but like, it's your project. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
let you do it, and I'll like produce it, I guess. And we were in the room rehearsing with all these dancers over the weekend, and I was just looking around. I was just seeing like everyone together, like working together on this greater thing. And I was like, this is what I love. Like,
Yeah.
I love being with people, creating something together.
Yes, 100%.
And
I
I-
think that is the musical theater a bit as
Yeah.
well, where it's like but I think it should be so collaborative, and I think
It's the exciting part about it. I feel like it's what captivates a lot of people to do theater, especially.
and also they're just you are surrounded by so many different people with so many widely different skill sets, and it's like, why try to, in my opinion, I'm like, why try to force yourself into a box that you don't necessarily fit in when you have somebody who that's what they do. That's their whole thing,
Yeah.
and give them a platform to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And when I talking about it with these friends, okay, so going back to the season 4 of it all.
Great.
Everyone on that set is writing music all the time. And also everyone on that set since I joined the show has always been like, you need to make music. Like, very encouraging, and being like, why haven't you done it yet? And I'm always like, I just don't know how to do it. Like,
don't know where to
I didn't
start,
know.
yeah.
And it wasn't my background, you know.
Do you think that's the Disney of it all too? In that, dating back to at least our Disney era of like
Everyone's
the
a pop
Selena
star.
and Miley and Demi, of like anyone who was on any of those shows was all, even like Mitchell Musso was putting out music. Like,
Wow, deep
Well,
fucking
it almost
cut
just
there.
feels like a perfect opportunity. You
Yeah.
have this
You have a-
audience. Yeah, you have. Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
So it feels like
If you're gonna do it, why not now?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so sort of in season 4, it was just on my mind a lot more, and I really started like sitting down and trying. I've always been trying is the thing. like even like growing up,
I've always been trying. I've been trying.
even growing up, I would write things and like never see it through or something. Like I always like had the idea, and I always thought it was like so admirable. Like, if I knew someone that could write music, I was like, that is just so amazing to me. Because it was so unfathomable to me.
well, and so when did you cross from the point of I'm trying in private to sharing, even if it's just sharing voice memos or sharing?
So season 4 ended, and it literally ended like right before Christmas. So we were going into a new year, and I was like, okay, 2023, my goal is to really get serious about this and just figure it out. Like, even if it's just one song, let me figure out how to make a song. I have resources. I have people I can ask
Yeah.
for help. And I remember I got lunch with Andrew Barth Feldman and Helen Shen. And we were talking about, I was like, yeah, I've been like sort of trying to write, like just sort of like trying to write, but I don't know. Like, I just feel kind of weird about it. And I don't know if I'm really good at it. And they were like, it's okay. Like, if you don't have an ego about like being the sole writer, like if that's not that important to you, it's okay to ask for help. Like,
Yeah.
people are there to
Yeah.
help. I know we've been really like drilling this in, but
No,
but
it's
it's
so true.
true.
It's
It's
so
just true.
It's also something you have to drill into yourself a little bit to accept.
Yes.
Because I think from the tendency of the musical theater of it all, everyone is trained to, you're going into an audition alone. You are going through this career alone. There's only 500 total living wage jobs in the industry. There is a competitive element to it that I think silos people and convinces them that they can't ask for help or do things together. And
Also, I think it's worth saying that the people that you're looking who around you are some of the biggest names in music.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
we can't not say that, like, you're literally sitting here next to Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes.
So it's like, you're not looking at like your friends who are trying to like, you know, play a club in New York. You're looking at someone who's debuting their first single at number one on Billboard.
And playing stadiums and changing the
Her
landscape
first
of
live
music
performance
for that
was fucking
age group.
SNL. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you're looking at
wild.
something. Yeah, you're looking at something that you're like, okay, this is possible. Where do I start?
Where do I start?
Yeah,
Literally.
exactly.
And also, I think coming off the show, I was like, if I do it, I want it to be really good. Like, I want it to be packaged. I want it to be like a really good rollout. I would like it to be legit.
Yeah.
And if I was going to go about it like this way, I was like, well, I guess I would have to like get a record label and I was like, well, how do you do that? Well, you have to just start making songs and then I could come up with a million excuses why not to move forward, or I could just start.
Yeah.
So I finally asked someone for help, and we like got it together and we started writing, and then it was a song that I started on my own, and then we sort of made it a whole new thing, and it became That Special. And that started almost a year ago right now. Like, it was April 10th was our first actual session, and we finished it in the fall, right before I moved to New York. And I was like, this is a perfect way to like just wrap a little bow on this LA chapter. I did something here.
That's amazing. And it's also like LA, like we talk about this all the time, but like LA is really like where recorded music is happening. Like, there's not a lot of producers and writers out here.
Doesn't seem like it, huh?
There are a few, but
Yeah.
it's less, also way less like pop centric, you know? It's like a lot more like rock and alt and stuff like that. But if you're going to be writing and doing that stuff, LA is really
so it's kind of funny that I moved to New York right after, huh? But
it's possible.
I mean, there are
people,
though. I mean,
you know?
how often do you guys fly out to LA to do your sessions? And
A lot.
yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, well, I just will make it work. And I was ready for this New York chapter to really like give New York a shot and like try to get in some rooms, and as much as I can tape from LA.
Being
not
here
Well,
is-
and so when you say in some rooms, like, is the primary pursuit outside of the music side live performance and theater?
For sure. And film and TV.
But what's nice about film and TV, though, too, is you can submit from anywhere in a way that you kind of can for theater, but they're not going to hire. Like, one of the last TV job I did, I never met anyone until I was on set. Like, it was entirely from my tape, from my apartment. In a way that, like, for theater, you're doing 3 or 4 live sessions at least in the room before you do anything.
They want to see you.
Yeah.
And I've flown in for callbacks, but it's never a great experience.
No,
to
it's
do
terrible
that.
to be like, oh, I'm flying in, I'm stressed, all I'm thinking about is this.
And then you don't get it.
Sleeping. Yeah.
And then you've spent money on flights and a hotel, and you don't get it.
And you don't get it. And you just walk out and you're like, I was amazing. And then they're like, never mind. They're like, okay, cool.
They were like, yeah, you were great.
See
you later.
Never.
So that was like, I was like, okay, if I want to give this a fair shot, I need to be there. I need to put some energy into the city, and, we'll see. But like, I'm very much like, on an optimistic day, I'm just like, things are going to work out.
Do you see
That's true.
the LA chapter as closed, or it's like
No, I want to go back.
like to
You're like,
to
this New York
live,
winter
to
took it
live
out of
or
me.
just be, or is it like ideally you're splitting time? What is the
Ideally
vision?
splitting time.
Well, because your family's on this side of the country and Frankie's on
Are
the
they
other
still
side,
in
right?
Pittsburgh?
They
Your
are.
family?
They are.
Nice.
I have 2 siblings in LA though, actually.
Oh, so yeah, you do have the split family tie.
I
then.
do. And I mean, I love New York. It's just so chaotic.
It's crazy.
And
The energy is cuckoo.
yes. Yeah. I love being near theater. Like there's nothing that you can't get this anywhere else. That is true, I believe. But I love LA. So I mean, ideally,
I like
I'm
LA
really,
too.
really rich, and I can just have a place in both spots.
That's my plan as well.
Yeah.
It's just to be really rich at
We
some
like
point.
to joke that we're just waiting on our lump sum to hit. And
Yeah.
so
We
once
always are
that
like,
comes,
did your lump sum come in?
Yeah.
You kind of seem rich right now.
We almost called this the lump sum podcast, but lump sum is actually a thing in the financial world. And we were like, we cannot have like random finance bros finding this being
No.
oh, we're here
What
for
the
the lump
fuck are
sum
you guys
podcast.
talking about? Yeah, I'm like, I don't know shit about shit.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit.
Oh,
No,
the
actually,
goal,
I wanna-
So the goal is Yes, I'm
Really
here.
rich,
I'm here
both
to.
coasts.
I'm here to really put some energy into pursuing musical theater because I didn't feel like I could do that as fruitfully as I from afar.
Is that the goal? You want to be at Broadway?
Yes, that's what I trained for.
Yes. He
And
said, I had that
where
BFA.
does where does the music exist within that? Like, is your ultimate goal to be kind of simultaneously be releasing music as you see fit while doing performance career, or what is the?
Yeah. So once I started making the song and I wasn't even sure if I was going to release it. I was like, I'm just going to like do this and see how I feel about it. And working on that song, I worked with Cozy Zulsdorf, who she is also an actress and performer. But she has this whole other part of her career where she writes music. She wrote a bunch of songs with Matt Tischler, the producer. They're the team of that special. Me, Matt, and Cozy. Those
Cozy's
two.
such a nice name.
Oh yeah, I love her. It's actually Cosette.
Okay.
Okay, slay.
I know, right?
And that's the
Matt's
first name of my
maiden
child.
And we like look like we could be siblings. But she and Matt wrote a bunch of songs on the show. That's how I met them, was through working on music for High School Musical. And like he produced The Climb when I did that on season 2. And that's when we were like, oh, like we vibe.
Yeah.
And
Is it weird to think about the fact that Miley Cyrus probably heard your version of The Climb?
she retweeted it.
Really?
No way.
That's sick.
Iconic.
Was that what was? Sorry, this is such a left turn.
It could have been
but-
her social media manager.
Sure.
What up? Who fucking cares?
But she's probably heard it.
I mean, I hope so.
That's
Is
so
that
cool.
is that special the song that just came out, or was that your first one?
That was
Especially
the first one.
First one. And what's the name of the one that just came out?
Take it slow.
Take It Slow. Out now. Everywhere you stream music.
Everywhere you stream music. Thank you.
And is that, I don't know when this is coming out, so we can cut this if necessary, but is that the video, the dance video that's coming out?
No,
is Take It
that's
Slow?
that special. We're going back.
We're
That's
going
the thing.
back.
It's
Okay.
all very whatever.
I was gonna ask, like, what did you end up going with for like a music team? Like, are you just releasing independently? Or are you?
So that's what I was getting to. Is
Slay.
that so meeting Cozy, seeing how she does it. So she wrote a bunch of songs with Matt for the show, but then also independently releases her own songs. And they're really great. And she is amazing. And I just sort of like learned that from her that like you really can just do it. Obviously, she cares a lot about the product and what she's doing, and she promotes it and in hopes it does well. But it's not with the record label. It's just pretty much like, I'm just gonna do this.
Well,
Bring it out.
and you're kind of approaching it more on the creative venture of it than the
business aspect
like
of
venture
it.
capitalist. I'm
Yeah.
going to be touring this and make it a big product.
Yeah. And honestly, like it would be amazing if someday it led up to that. But right now, I'm okay with it just being like baby steps in that direction.
I love that.
Especially while also pursuing the performance and.
I think that's cool. I talk about this a lot too. Like, I think that if you have the means to put out music independently and to continue to make it whatever you want to make it independently without needing help, like, I mean, help in like a financial aspect or help in like wanting to tour it or whatever, I think there's so much to be gained from that. And I think like
When you keep control in a lot of ways.
first of all, you own everything, which is amazing. But also just like, when you're like, I'm figuring this out on my own time. I have a team that I like to work with. The best advice I ever got was like, just put out everything. Like, do not be too precious, because
that's what she said.
put out everything. And it's like, in today's day and age, like it's all digital. So if you want to wipe it, you fucking can.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not hard
You know
to
what I
wipe
mean?
it.
You don't have to go, like, no one's going to have a physical copy of it. Or like maybe a few people have a physical copy of it, whatever. But like,
Let them.
Let them. If they liked it that much, let them have it.
Let them have it. Let them take the
If
CD,
you cared
girl.
that much to download it and like keep it on a hard drive, keep it.
Or I'm like, like we
You
sold
like
CDs,
it more than
but I'm
me,
like, if we hate everything, well, that's not really true anymore. But I'm like, if there's things that I want to take down, there's a few things, not everything. I can't take down everything because I don't own most of it. But like some of it, I'm like, I could wipe that if I need to. You know what I mean? And I'm like, don't be too precious. Like, it's not meant to be held. Like what you write, like it's supposed to be shared. So share it. You know?
Yeah, and that's sort of my idea is just like I'm just gonna do this for me and to like stay busy, stay creative, and it'll give something to put out to like remind people that I exist. And
Always good.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's beautiful. I really think that that's such a great way to go about it. It sounds really healthy and sounds really like
But of course I overthink it all. I mean, like,
How did it feel to actually make it public?
very scary. I was like, oh my god, I don't know, you know.
How long did you have the finished product before it was public?
Officially like mixed and mastered in November, I want to say.
Okay.
Maybe end of October.
And you put it out when? The first one?
January.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a couple
So you sat on it for a little
months
bit.
lead time.
It feels so bad to sit on stuff, I think.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want it to come out during Christmas time.
Yeah,
I was like,
obviously.
it will get lost.
How many people like in your cast that you kind of like figured out you wanted to do this with like put out music? Is it like everybody basically? Yeah.
Yeah. A good, like, I would say half of us.
Yeah.
Adrian just signed with Hollywood Records.
Play.
So he's going to be releasing stuff soon, I'm very sure.
That's very cool.
Yeah. He was someone who I was pretty like tight with after season 4. And I would talk to him a lot about music because he's very into it. And like, that's his main goal.
His bag, yeah.
He was doing the music circuit thing of like working with all these different people and figuring out his sound and stuff. And I was like, do I need to be doing all that?
Yeah.
And I just sort of had to land that no.
It's just,
You find what works for you too, though, because it's
So-
such a personal thing.
It's so interesting though, because I think actors, specifically musical theater actors, because there's a very set sort of path, right? Like you either go to school or you don't. You move to New York, you know how to, you get an agent from Showcase or you don't, and you try to find another way. You can go to ACCs, you can go to EPAs. Like there's a very set, like, this is how you make this happen.
Yeah.
Well, especially I feel like being both in programs that are very structured BFAs that their whole goal is like, how do you work in this specific industry in this specific way, and are very good at that funnel.
And then if you sort of venture out of that, either film and TV or music specifically, 'cause film and TV is similar, I think. I don't really know. I haven't really done any, but like, I imagine it's fairly similar process. Like you audition and whatever, where it's like, yeah, it's all the same. Where music, it's kind of like, ooh, like, what do you do here?
It feels very elusive.
It is. And there's kind of no set. There's a million different ways you can do things.
Yeah.
You know, and there's sort of like a very industry route you can take. There's a very like, you know, I'm trying to get signed to a label and that's how I want to do this. There's an independent. There's so many different ways. There's no right way to do it.
There's not as many benchmarks either.
And there aren't benchmarks. There's no like, I did this, so I'm on the right path. Like there's no like, there's no like set path.
Yeah.
You can do it a million different ways. And I think that that's really, for me at least, for sure, it was very, very scary and intimidating, where it's kind of like, okay, like what are we doing here? Like how do we start doing
And
this?
it's not like you're like making money
No,
just
girl.
putting out songs. I mean,
Not
like
making
a
money
little
touring
bit.
either. You're making money doing anything. And like streaming obviously doesn't like garner anything really.
No.
Very, very minimal amounts
So
of
it's
money.
really just for like the love of it at this
It's
point.
love of the game type shit, because you're not getting a payout for a long time.
No.
And if you really want to do it, and it's like I said, like with you kind of have like a different goals across like many different platforms or different like media industries. So you're not like banking all of your time or all of your energy or all of your money into one thing, which is beautiful. And I think if you can maintain that sort of like just the joy of creating it and the joy of putting it out, like something will happen for it. You know what I mean? Where it's not like this thing where it's like, I'm going so hard in this direction. And sometimes that works.
Yeah.
For some people.
For sure.
But it's a much more just sort of like elusive. Yeah. Like,
Well,
just
going
sort of-
off that too, do you feel like you have a long-term goal with it, or is it more about nurturing that creative side and the
I
desire
have
of
big dreams.
it? Okay.
And
Share 'em.
I
Share-
mean,
speak on them.
Well, obviously, I have big dreams of, you know, being on Broadway. But that's also like silly though. Not silly, but I do not like the idea that like Broadway is the be all end all.
Oh my
No,
God.
but it's something you'd like to do. In
I
your
would
life.
love to achieve.
And
that
also,
off the bucket
you've been
list.
performing since you were a child, and you went to a funnel musical theater school that is training for Broadway. Like that is a benchmark of just something you'd like to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you could say that
It's okay.
without it being like, oh, my life's gonna be fixed once I'm on Broadway.
Right. No. And I would love to stay perform. I really love doing concerts. Like that has been a fun new thing for me.
Yeah. Are you playing live?
I've done like 2 cabarets. I've been doing like cabarets.
Cool.
Where I can just like talk and sing. And it's really nice to
I
just
love
like
that.
have a party.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But I mean, long term, I would really love. This is so silly. I'm scared to share.
No,
Say it.
sure.
But I would really love to. I don't want to be a pop star, But I would love to be like an established, either like working actor. You know what I love? I love like Josh Groban. How he's like this guy who can like put out albums and like be this amazing vocalist.
Well, and can fill up a house if he's going to random
If he's touring,
place in
yeah, he's
Ohio.
touring
Like,
his own music.
and even when he's in a Broadway show, like people show up for Josh Groban.
Yes. I mean that voice. But he does the music and then he goes and does shows when he's feeling like that's what he wants to do.
I think that's an amazing goal.
So I
like,
would
amazing
love to
person
have
kind of
that multifaceted like level of career.
You want to be a multi-hyphenate.
I do.
Yeah. I think that's great.
So in the process now, obviously you're on a Disney show. I'm sure that check was great. Now being in a place where obviously we're not getting paid to audition, and that's a huge part of the job as an actor is just like showing up to these auditions.
Yep.
The streaming is not offering a huge level of revenue source. How are you navigating and making that work in New York? Like, are you like still partially living off the Disney money? Are you finding other means of like, how is that? And like, how sustainable is that for you now?
It's a really good question. No, I'm sitting on a nice like nest egg for now, and having faith.
Yeah. You're living on a nest egg and hope. I love that.
Yeah.
No, but it's nice to have that. I mean, I think what you said it earlier, where it's like people think that once you're on this TV show, you're good, you're set, and you're kind of like looking at it like, okay, I'm good for like now, but I have to think.
Yeah,
ahead.
that money will run out, especially in a city like New York. So like
exactly.
Right before we actually started recording, you had said you're kind of, when you and Frankie moved here, the idea was let's give it this 2-year window. Do you feel like that is also a 2-year, I'm going to be auditioning, doing that full time, and then reassess at that point if something needs to happen differently financially? Or are you thinking about the money aspect of it right now?
Yes. It's kind of like we're going to see what has happened in 2 years.
Right.
And assess like, oh, things are really happening for us here. Like maybe we should hang out a little longer, or you know what?
Let's go back to the sunshine.
Let's go back to the sunshine and a better lifestyle, honestly.
That's the tough thing about this industry, in the way that like you audition one week and 4 days later you're shooting in Salt Lake City. Like it's really,
it can change on a dime.
And so much of it is just being like getting the at-bats or like throwing the darts at the dartboard. It's a weird, trying to plan long-term is really hard.
Yeah. It's impossible kind of. You don't know,
Yeah.
You don't know what your next 2 months are going to look like.
No.
Do you have anything that you're like in the works for, or close for? Like, do you have anything that you're like hoping for?
Not at the moment. Literally, no.
Slay.
I'm just I have been putting out the songs. That honestly takes up
a lot of your time.
I'm sure you understand, like, it's really exhausting to have yourself as the product.
Completely.
Because thinking about yourself that much is just, you can go insane.
Yeah.
And to bring up the energy to really be like, okay, I'm gonna promote myself. I'm gonna put it out there.
Especially when you're doing
and I'm
it
gonna
on
talk
your own,
about it.
You know, when you don't really have like a massive team, and we're very lucky now that we have a fairly large team behind us.
And that is very nice.
It changes. I mean, we didn't for a very long time, and that was it was exhausting.
Yeah.
It was all day, all the time, figuring out everything. And at the time we were playing a lot of club shows, and we were taking in money and dealing with money and dealing with,
oh gosh, yeah.
Just all of that is like,
it's a lot of upkeep that you don't think about too, because so much of it is, every element of it is you for it. It's a big part of the reason why I work in a content job now, where I'm doing all that for other people. Cause I was like,
when you can offload it to other people, it changes.
It just reduces so much of the stress of like, you still have to care about your work, but you don't have to care about how you exist in the center of it beyond just the work you're doing.
Yeah.
In a way that
having a team is probably so like,
versus when you are just the central figure of it all.
But even still, I think it's like, it's hard to think about yourself so much.
Like, what's my brand?
Yeah,
what am
like,
I putting
stop
out
it.
there?
I don't care. And it's
What
like,
is Joe Serafini's brand?
I like to think that I'm like a family-friendly gay.
I
Great.
love that.
Okay. Love it.
And not that like all gays aren't family-friendly, but
all gays aren't family friendly.
Yeah. I'm not a family friendly guy. Personally. My brand is not family friendly.
But I like to feel like, I think I'm definitely a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I feel like I'm not hiding that. But I can be very like, I don't know what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. That makes sense to me.
You know,
It's also a super existential question that is not easy to answer. So I appreciate that you clearly have figured out what works for you within it. And like, I don't think once you figure that out, you need to like deeper cut into it.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get into weird mental territory. And I think you get unhealthy.
Also like something that has really shook me in the last like 2 years of doing this is like, I feel I don't know if you relate to this at all. And it's probably similar as watching yourself on TV too, is like seeing yourself all the time is exhausting.
Yes.
And looking at photos of yourself and looking at,
And
approving
picking which
everything,
ones you're
picking
gonna-
which ones you like and seeing bad ones and not liking it or whatever has made me feel very weird about being like literally in my body.
Yeah.
Like I feel like sometimes I have this like outward view of myself that is like so weird and
it
not
messes with you
and not normal. Like it's not normal. I say this to Jamie all the time when we're doing stuff like, or like when I'm like, I don't know, when something happens or we're around like people or we're like at Madison Square Garden or like shit like that, I'll just like look at people and just be like, this isn't normal. This is not normal.
No.
We have to be really clear that this is not normal. It's not a normal thing to experience. We have to be okay with that and be like, this is what we're doing is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all on the same page about that.
That's
Great.
wild.
Okay, now we can move forward. You know what I mean? Where it's like I have to remind myself, like, it can't become. I think in any entertainment industry, when you're especially yourself as the product, and as an actor, you're experiencing that to some degree, but not as much.
At least you're playing a character.
Yeah, at least you have a kind of a shield in front of you all the time. Whereas like music, you're like literally like, here's me, and it's like this weird thing of like you write something and you like, open your fucking guts out, and then you're kind of like, hey, do you like it? You know what I mean? It's like, hope you like it
Hope
so
you guys
much.
have been loving this.
Yeah, it's like so weird and awkward, and you have to just kind of be like, this isn't normal. This is not a normal thing to do.
Yes.
We're doing something really weird right now.
It's funny because doing it all myself, I do have to like figure out like how much am I going to post about it? How much am I going to like really try to get people's attention?
How much time am I going to spend on this, and how much energy am I?
Well, and how much of yourself are you trying to leverage for the audience of it all and the fan base of it all? Like on a level of, we talk about this a lot just on a business level, like obviously being on the Disney show is a huge leverage point to be able to release music to an audience. It's why you see a lot of those people doing it and why you see a lot of success come from it.
Yeah.
But getting back to the exhausting side of it all, like being always trying to leverage yourself as the thing that
is making money,
which is already what we're doing as performers, but doing it on social media is hyper driving it because there is no middleman. There is no person who's hiring you and having you do it.
It's just you out there being like, hope you like me.
And
Do you like
so
what I put on my face today?
do you at this point know, like, as you're using it for putting out your music or things like that, how much you want that to be part of the equation in terms of having
Like social?
Yeah, social of it all, the like leveraging
the
your
sort of
own
celebrity
personality.
of it all, kind
the
of.
celebrity and fame of it all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm famous. I think some people might know who I am.
Pittsburgh legend, Michigan legend, Disney legend. So for very specific groups
Soon
of
to
people,
become New York legend.
famous.
Sure.
But that is very real. I feel similarly where I'm like, a very small group of people know who I am.
Uh-huh.
Outside of that, nobody gives a fuck.
No, and I don't necessarily want them to give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually have said, and like I hope I'm not cursing myself, but I'm like, if I don't get any more famous than I am right now, I think I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of the core of what I wanted to get at. Too, so.
Yeah. I mean, I it's very nice to have the recognition. It's very nice to have an audience that is willing and excited about what you're doing. But also like I cannot imagine
You've also
the
seen
level
it so
of
closely too,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
like you've seen people absolutely skyrocket to like an insane level of fame.
I mean, we just saw Olivia at Madison Square Garden and it was so surreal.
yeah,
Like,
I imagine.
I just couldn't believe what I was witnessing.
What is she, like 21 or 22?
She's 21.
That is crazy.
And she's still the same.
I'm sure she is. She seems like a lovely girl. Please
See,
take
I
me on
wouldn't be
tour.
so sure. That's like encouraging to hear, just on a level of like anyone getting that much fame.
I know. It makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder, like, how do you deal with that much attention? Like, I don't think humans are designed to get that much attention.
She's got a really good head on her shoulder. She
must, because the shit that she has gone through in the last couple of years is just mind blowing.
and going through it in public too. age 18
19,
to
20.
20,
Yeah,
21.
nightmare.
She was
Nightmare.
17 when she wrote most of Sour.
Wow. That's incredible. I love her. I just
think.
plugged myself to her to the camera. I said, please take my band on tour. No worries. No worries if not. Thanks.
No worries if not, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think like, yeah, you're seeing something so closely that it's hard to not put yourself in that position and think, how would I deal with this or whatever,
Yeah.
and whether you want to or not.
Right. Like
And sometimes you don't have a choice.
Or whether you could. A lot of people can't.
Yeah.
Not saying anything about whether or not you would be able to, but like,
no, I think I would have a really
we've
hard
seen
time.
countless examples of people skyrocket to that and just fold. And like
Yeah.
some of it is in a way that like their life is still stable afterwards. And some people it's like, no, they will never recover from that thing.
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I've also learned is like it can be as big as you choose for it to be.
So
like
real.
if I really wanted to be like, I'm gonna be famous, like
You could probably do it.
there are ways to,
Not you could probably do it. You could do
to
it.
finesse that.
I know you could do it.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
but you know, like in the
No,
world
totally.
of publicists, that when I learned about publicists, I was so shook. I
It's
was
shocking.
like, wait.
Tell us about that. What was that?
Well,
What
it
was
was
that? What
actually
was the
in-
publicist moment where you were like, what?
It was actually at school. Vince was talking about it. One of our professors, he was talking about publicists and he was like, oh yeah, like when people seem like they're like really like famous, they're like really hot at a certain moment, it's because they have someone like making
Pushing them.
that happen.
Yeah.
Like it's like pushed. And it's also usually paired with the promotion of a project that they're working on or whatever. And I was like, hold on. I thought that everyone was just like organically getting recognition for what they were
no.
doing, not no. No, it's all actually very calculated.
Very calculated, very crafted, and people are making a lot of money
Yeah.
in that specific element of the business.
Yes. And I have not felt like I had a thing that I really want to pay for a publicist.
Publicists
to
are also
review.
so touch and go where it's kind of like you can hire them out for like a lot of them work on retainer. So it's like you pay them for like 2 months, 3 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and some
and
of
they
them
might do nothing.
some of them can also do God's work in terms of publicizing you doing all the things you're hiring them to do, and some of them really make poor decisions in terms of
That's
like,
what I'm saying. I'm like, you could
your
get
personal
everything
brand
from it, or
like
you
can
could get
be
nothing from
totally yeah.
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 It's so interesting to me though.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, like, I love my publicist. She's amazing. And she has been with us from the jump.
Amazing.
And she,
I'm sure it's really helpful
It's
to
su-
have
I mean-
someone to like do that work.
and it's like their whole thing is about like making relationships, right? So it's like our first single that we ever put out got a premiere in Alt Press, which is like crazy because she believed in it. And like I said, she worked at Atlantic for like 15 years and then started her own firm. So she's on her own right now. So nobody's breathing down her neck to do whatever. And she really likes, she's older and likes to take projects only that she really likes now because she was not in that world for a very long time where it was just kind of like, here's your thing, whatever, push it. And so like, but watching her make those calls, and it's, it's different because we don't have anything like really behind us other than like that she likes our music and we have a great team behind us. But like, just her being able to be like, hey, I know you've never heard of these two before, but hey, this song has some really great writing credits. We know you like Pete Wentz. Do you want to put it in Alt Press? And they were like, sure, absolutely. It's like, that's literally how the fucking sausage gets made. Like with everybody too,
Yeah.
And it's like having something behind you obviously helps, but it is all very, very, very calculated.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm like, I mean, if I really wanted it to be like bigger, I could. But right now I just still feel like I'm still figuring things out. Like I don't really know exactly how big I want it to be. I think I'm kind of just like, I'm trying things out and I'm seeing like
What sticks and what doesn't.
and just like, we'll go from there.
Yeah. That's really beautiful.
I don't know.
It sounds like a healthy way to approach it. I think
Yeah,
a lot
for
of people
sure.
dive in
And then they're overwhelmed.
or
Over
even
their
just
head.
the experience with fame or virality I've seen with a lot of people. You get a little too close to the sun. Like it's a big part of why I'm not public facing anymore. Cause it's like you just can find your way confronting something you were not prepared for or not
my God.
understanding that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And like the way fame scales, it can happen overnight where suddenly nothing in your life is normal. And
yeah.
That's scary.
And
Yeah.
that's actually something I remember, and like okay, we were watching Idina Menzel's documentary on Disney Plus called Which Way to the Stage. And it
Solid
tracks-
Disney plug.
I have not watched that, but I'm gonna need to do that.
It's fun. First of all, Idina Menzel, come on. She, like
Legend.
raised me.
Legend.
Legend.
Which way to the stage is the line in Rent, right? At the end of
Is
the
it?
act
Probably.
one. At the end of Act 1, Maureen comes on and goes, "Which way to the stage?"
Yes, it is.
That's
probably-
iconic. That
Yeah.
she named her documentary that. That's fucking iconic.
Well, it tracks her and she was touring with Josh Groban. And it tracks her like finally making it to Madison Square Garden because she's like grown up in New York, or at least outside of New York. And it's like she's been doing this for so long and she's had all these amazing things happen to her, but she's finally going to perform at Madison Square Garden, right? And I remember watching it, and I think she's like 40, I don't know. She's
In her 40s.
Yeah.
Probably older than that now because Rent was 1996.
I don't know. She's not in her 20s.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And I remember watching it and being like, I would
Age shame
be.
Idina.
And I'm not.
You fucking dare.
I know, right? And I'm not
you
shading her. I love this about her. I'm like, I love that she has like had a steady climb. I mean, of course, she did have great success at a young age with Rent, and
But
again,
it
it's that
goes
small-
but scales in terms of Rent to Wicked to Frozen.
Yes.
The idea of each of those can feel like the top of the mountaintop to a certain mountain. And then it's like, oh no, you scaled to the next thing to a different world.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
We
you
talk about
were
this all the time.
Yeah.
They're like the caps for what's possible. Just kind of keep getting bigger.
yeah.
And bigger and bigger.
And I love that she's had like this steady ascent and is now doing this Madison Square Garden, and I just love that. And I'm like, I would really be okay if that was how my life went. I would
Love
actually
that.
love if that's how my life went.
Yeah, I mean that would be
that would be incredible.
that would be pretty iconic.
An
think
Adina
like-
track, if you will.
an
That would be
Adina track-
amazing.
Yeah. Speak it into existence.
No,
We're here for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Speak on it. Yeah.
But because like as much as I think it's amazing that young people can play Madison Square Garden. I mean, obviously, you're
Yeah,
literally
I mean,
playing
I
Madison Square
came out
Garden.
for one song during someone else's set, but still.
But you did.
But we did it, yeah.
But like, as much as I think that's amazing, and I think obviously if that opportunity came, I would be like, I mean, I guess I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
I'm okay with like waiting for a time that I'm ready for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Well-
like to grow to that.
And you don't
I
want to put
wanna-
yourself in a position to like, because then, then all these things feel small, kind of. Not small, but like, and I'm not in that position in any way, because like I said, like we were very lucky and we have this relationship with Fall Out Boy. They played Sold Out MSG. They were like, why don't you guys come out for a song?
That's amazing.
Which is amazing and so kind and was so cool. Biggest moment of my career to date, obviously. But like, it doesn't yet feel like that's small dice or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like normal. It doesn't feel normal. You know what I mean? And I think when you jump the gun to these things so quickly.
I also though think if Madison Square Garden ever feels normal,
But I think-
like your
but I-
life is not a normal human
But I
life.
think that must be true for a lot of people. Like I imagine Olivia Rodrigo probably feels like not like it's small by any stretch.
but it's
and I don't wanna
another
speak for
stadium
her,
in
but,
the tour, mate.
But it's she's doing it and she's going to do it for 3 nights in a row and then she's going to go back on her world tour. Like that's what her life is. That's what her normal is. And I think like
Yeah.
if that works for her, obviously she has handled it with such incredible grace through the whole thing. But I'm like that's a crazy life to have. And I think that that's not right for everybody. That's not normal for everybody. And that won't be
Yeah.
normal for some people, Thank God. I hope she has like a huge, support system to help her through all of that. But like, holy shit, she's 21 and doing a residency at Madison Square Garden. Like that's not normal. That's not a normal life to lead.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
to
it's not
have-
even a normal entertainment life. Like there
No,
are,
I mean,
there,
she's
there are in
it's
the
hilarious.
entertainment field, even at the top of the rung, there's like you can count on one hand how many people have that.
It's hilarious
type
to me
of
that she is
trajectory.
she's like a relevant source to use because she is one of like truly probably the biggest pop artist in the world right now. Maybe like barring like Taylor Swift, but like at the same time, it's like
Definitely in her like age group and demographic.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's just a crazy climb to make so quickly and rightfully so. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting to think about that being like a new normal for someone like that, someone
Yeah.
so young. And but yeah, I think a steady climb is also just as valuable.
It's the climb.
Literally bring it all the way back around to the climb.
But it really
It
is.
No, it sounds corny, but it's that's very real. Where
Yeah.
it's like it makes it also, I think, more
gratifying once you get it.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to be financially stable through that climb, but you know.
And I wish you the best of luck on
Thank
that.
you.
But to be fair, you are currently, whether or not it is a
sustainable model
finite,
forever.
forever, it doesn't need to be, so long as it is, this is what's going to sustain this part of my life. Like, that in itself is an active decision. And when it starts to become not sustainable, that's when you
figure
change
it
course,
out.
you adapt, you do
Yeah.
whatever. But
And that's the thing I always say. I'm like, you know what? I got myself here. I will get myself there.
Totally.
I love that. I'm obsessed with that.
No, I'm serious.
I'm obsessed with that. That's
so
a
fucking true.
That level of confidence. We talk a little bit about the healthy delusion you need to be a performer at all, but that doesn't feel grounded in any kind of delusion. That feels grounded in just self-confidence.
Yeah, where you know what you're capable of. You've seen yourself reap the benefits of that. And wherever you want to go, you know that it's possible. You've seen it be possible for other people. You've seen it be possible for yourself. So it's like, it doesn't have to feel like this far off thing.
Yeah.
That's not.
And I'm not even
reachable.
talking about like the big goals. I'm saying I got myself here. Like, I'll figure out how to move forward
Yeah.
wherever I end up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you
That's
have
what there is. Forward.
forward. You have a wonderful partner that seems to be very down to be with you in all these things as well, which
Yeah.
is so incredibly
He's the
helpful.
best.
Yeah, he sounds awesome.
He's
I would
great.
love to meet him.
Yeah. He's also got some big, exciting ventures coming up.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
can't share.
Oh, I'm
but-
excited. I'm excited to hear
little
about that. See.
But that's also, I think, like why I've been. I took the first half of this year to like I put out 2 singles, and everyone's like, "Are you doing an EP?" And I'm like, I have nothing planned. I mean, of course, maybe someday, but right
Taking it
now
one
it's
step at
just
a time.
one step at a time. That's right, baby.
Literally, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
What am I gonna do tomorrow? Tomorrow we're shooting the music video
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
very fun.
for that special.
all right. Look out for that
Look out.
special
It's already been
music
kind of
video in
teased
June.
online.
Okay, you're gonna announce it,
Yeah,
or like officially.
Like
The press tour hasn't
he's been
started yet,
teasing it,
but-
and I was like, "Oh, we didn't talk about this, but I'm not gonna say anything."
Sometimes that is the thing about this industry too, though, with social media. Sometimes the release strategy is just a moving target where you're like, oh, I guess we're talking about this publicly now.
we teased a feature for like 3 months on a song, and then some press article released it before we were ready, and we were like, oh, okay.
This is the world we live in.
Yep, that's who it is. They got it. Okay, cool. Never mind. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
John. Cool.
Well, I also, I mean, I'm not throwing shade to my friend, but I just think like I have had such close watch of like when you can say things, when you can't say things. So I'm very hyper aware of like I'm not posting about anything until
I'm 100% sure that something's ready to be released.
yeah.
Totally.
And I think for him it's more just like, oh well, we're doing this, so I'm just going to talk about how we're doing it. And I'm like, okay, great, that's fine. It's not that serious.
Yeah.
But that's exciting.
Thank you.
I'm
When
excited
he
to
when
see
he
it.
first came to me with the idea, I was like, well, the song came out in January, like it's kind of like late, like, and then you just kind of say, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Do
It
it whenever
doesn't
you want.
matter.
Who cares?
Who cares? Put out what you want to put out when you want to put it out. Period.
Ding ding ding.
Period.
I think that's a beautiful note to end on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you wanna say to the folks at home? If there's any folks at home watching this.
Yeah, we don't know. There might be to the 4 people listening to this.
I don't know. You
Jamie.
what do I want to say? Hold on. I really want to have something powerful and
Okay.
great to say.
You can, or you
you don't
could
have to.
not.
Okay.
A big
It's
deal
the-
or not. if you will.
I'll just say, as much as it can feel like you have no idea what you're doing, you do know what you're doing. Well, I don't know. That's not for everyone. Some people, some people
really don't know
are
what
really
they're
a
doing.
mess.
You
I would
unless
say
you're a
you
mess.
I'm not gonna say shit.
All right.
I was gonna say like you can figure it out. Like just believe that like you can do it.
You have the
if you
tools that
just
you need.
decide that you can do it.
Yep.
profound.
Because for a long time I just will come up with every excuse why I couldn't do something. And I still do it sometimes, but you have to fight through that. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Ooh.
That's the title of a book.
That's a button. That's glass slipping today.
That's title of up. That's glass slipping. I'm Keaton. That's Peter. And that's Joe Serafini. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe.